as an awakening person, you're not supposed to listen to the opinion of others, right? Maybe not. It depends why they gave you that opinion. Now, a lot of people these days are atheists, but that doesn't stop God from working through them. So if somebody tells you something, especially if it's regarding your attitude, learn to listen with the God self. So you have to get in that Christ-centered meditational space, heart chakra opening, platitude I'm always discussing, because it's important to live through this space, because you can't go wrong in that space. So you need to cultivate that space. So when you get an opinion from someone else, and this is easier said than done, because when you get an opinion, it's probably negative, and it's going to trigger you into a negative, chaotic response. But then you're not going to accurately be able to perceive, was that from God or not? So you might have to set it aside, and then later, maybe perhaps in an actual meditation, bring that back in. Sit with it again. Try not to focus on the way they said it, because a lot of the time I know that's well, it's not so much what they said, it's the way they said it. They didn't need to say it so snide. They didn't need to say it so rude. They didn't, insert, why it's upsetting you, right? So no, they might not have said it like Holy Mother Mary, but it doesn't mean what they said wasn't valid. However, a large degree of the time it's not going to be valid, and they're just going to be trying to bring you down, because more often than not, as much as God loves to work through atheists, it's probably not going to be God. So do keep your ears of the heart open, but it might be. So this is where discernment comes into play. So you want to sit with that, because especially if it's something along the lines of you're getting a little egotistical, you're being rude. Sometimes we get in victim mentality, and it takes someone else to point that out to get us to wake up to it, right? So we want to hear people out and be like, thank you for telling me this. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, and let it work its way through our system and take it or leave it. Was that for me or wasn't it? Now, it's tricky territory, but we can't just be dismissing everything someone else says because it's my reality. I'm going to make it my own, because we are all the sonship, the children of God. We are all the all. We are all equal. Every human, regardless of, even if they're controlled by evil in this life, they're still a child of God. Everything's a child of God, even like your archons, your demons, insert negative vibratory entity you're trying to name. They're all at some point also of the all of God. So everything technically works for God, but when it comes to your average day Joe, are they directly speaking from God? Not always, but sometimes they are. Sometimes they are. So you want to listen to all the feedback that you get, if of course you're interested in staying on your toes, which I am, and staying humble, which I am, because if you want to be Christ-centered awakened, which I do, then you want to be humble. You don't want to get into a holier than thou place, because it can become kind of easy, especially when you're going around and everyone's whining about their life, and you look at them and you just kind of go, oh, if you just knew what I knew, your life would be great. But you just want to stay an atheist, or you want to stay dogmatic, or you know how it is, right? When you're awakening, most of the people you know in your real life are not, unless you happen to live in, I don't know, Sedona, Arizona, or Boulder, Colorado, or Tibet, or India. It's most of us are, either in a dogmatic religion setup or atheism, which is, I find, especially in the West, winning right now. Not winning, because they're not going to win, because falsehood cannot win, and atheism is predicated on, it's not real. You just made that up and then go, oh well, it scientifically makes sense, the Big Bang Theory, that means no God. Oh, okay. This big magical explosion where everything was like less than a millimeter exploded into the entire universe, but that proves there's no God. Okay, sure, you really win that award there, and there I go on my high horse. See, it's so easy when you're dealing with these people. But I want to be Buddha, Jesus, Gandhi, enlightened Krishna soul, right? So sometimes I need to be told, you need to have patience for other people because they're not awakened. They weren't given my unique scenario to awaken. You know, it's a story that I once upon a time was all boo-hoo about, but luckily it's what woke me up. You know, if life's too comfortable, you don't wake up, and if you don't wake up, then you're just repeating and repeating and repeating, and you're on the loop cycle of lives, which I'm done with, thanks. So I'm here to usher in the new world, and or get off the boat. You know, if I can succeed in enlightenment this life, I don't have to come back. It's not my problem. Or at the very least, if I have to come back, I help make it a little bit better, so the next time I come back, it's going to suck less. And that's assuming I even come back in you know, sequential time there, because all time exists at the same time. So I could come back a million years in the past, which, ugh, no thanks. But if I enlighten, I don't need to worry about that, and neither do you. Enlightenment means we get to move on. Whether in this earth or the next, we get to move on. And the higher you go up Jacob's ladder, it doesn't matter what time period you come back in. So let's say I did come back a million years in the past. Well, that could be when Atlantis was thriving. I don't think that was technically, but whatever the civilization was back then. You know, that's when Atlantis, you know, or 12,000 years ago when it was Atlantis, or no, that's when it sunk. So even 20,000 years ago before it sunk, you know, it doesn't matter when you go back. If you've gone up Jacob's ladder, you're still gonna, I'd come back as a magical high priestess, or who knows, you know, whatever the million billionaire yacht owner fantasy is at that time, right? Or just slightly better life, a slightly better life, a slightly better life. But when you're in this situation where, this is why I'm becoming a metaphysical minister, because we don't have ministers to just go to and be like, Father, Father, art thou doing it right? Aye, son, you art thou doing it right? You know, there's no one to tell you. So you have to listen to the opinions of others and just take in their feedback with a detached attitude, bringing that Buddhism detachment here, so it can filter through and keep what wants to keep and let go of wants to let go. So it's a dangerous territory. It's more of a boss move, because you need to be very secure in yourself to not crumble under other people's opinions. And if you're the type, or still at that stage where you're going to crumble under other people's opinions, then let it go and ignore them all, because, and or both, acknowledge that they are in a completely different position than you, and just try to hear what God said. Don't think Steve said this, Jimmy said that, you know. God said this through Jimmy. Okay, and then what is God trying to tell me? Take Jimmy, Steve, Rebecca, who knows, you know, out of the equation, and just have it be like, what did God say to me? What did God speak to my heart? What is God trying to tell me? Because technically, because we are all God, this is that when you get real positive on the top level of that chain there, which I've found myself in from time to time, and it's beautiful. When you can find the beauty and the love and the peace in everything. Like, you can in real life, not on drugs, be in a blessed acid trip of euphoria where you just do actually see the positive in everything. Even nasty people, you could be like, God bless you. But that goes, you know, you lose your cool. You start back up again, and you gotta build back up. Astrology gets in the way with that, you know. A certain something's in retrograde, and bam, you're not Buddha anymore. It's just a constant getting back on that horse, getting back on that ladder, getting back up the rungs of higher and higher and higher and higher vibrations. It's the entire point. It's a stronger and stronger and stronger frequency, right? So that's all I have for today. But if you want to follow me over onto YouTube or any podcast platform within the next week or so, I'm filming my first episode live tomorrow on YouTube, and a podcast. It's called Transcending Ascension. And I know those are like, but it's literally transcending ascension. So trying to like sink our teeth into every little aspect that is ascension, and really just unpack and unpack and unpack from every religion, because they all need to be studied to pull together our new religion, which is the religion of the self, of the I am, of the Christ conscious center, that middle pillar. So join me there tomorrow. I don't know the time. Whenever I get to it, I will get to it. But I hope to see you there, and I will let you know when it's all posted and I've gone live on the podcasting streams. So goodbye for now. See you later, Spirit Mom.